Hey everybody. This pandemic has reminded us how broken this world really is. And times like these should make us long for the next world. And so let's take a brief look at what the next world is going to be like for believers. Look with me at Revelation chapter 21, starting in verse 1. The Apostle John has a vision at the end of time, and he says, "Now I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away. Also, there was no more sea. Then I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, 'Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. God himself will be with them and be their God. And God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away.'" There are some very important descriptions in this passage about what eternal life is going to be like for the believer. First of all, we see that the ultimate destination for believers is to live on a new earth. When we think about eternal life, we often picture our souls floating bodiless in the clouds of heaven forever. But the Bible shows us that heaven is actually a temporary waiting place. An incredible waiting place for sure. But for believers, our final destination is to live in physical resurrected bodies on a physical resurrected earth. John tells us that on the new earth, God will live with his people, that he will be with us forever. This is the best part about eternal life, that we will be with God forever. We also see that God will wipe away every tears from our eyes. And in the next world, there will be no more death, no more sorrow, no more crying or pain. Every day on the news, we hear about people dying, people suffering, people in pain. Maybe you're the one who's been walking through the valley of the shadow of death. Maybe you're the one who's been in suffering and is in pain. If so, then this passage can be an encouragement to you that for believers, all of those things will pass away one day. John also tells us that on the new earth there will be no more sea. This is a puzzling statement that interpreters are not in complete agreement on. Some would say that this is simply an observation that there are no oceans on the new earth. But I've wondered if there's something deeper going on here. Remember that the book of Revelation was written by the Apostle John while he was on exile on the island of Patmos. He had been sentenced to live there in isolation. And while he was there, he was surrounded by a sea, an ocean, that cut him off from everyone he loved. The sea was forcing John to practice extreme social distancing. John was not just 6 feet apart from other people, he was 169,000 feet apart from other people. For John, the sea represented distance, isolation, loneliness. So perhaps this description of there being no sea highlights the reality that there will be no separation on the new earth, no forced isolation. There will be no social distancing on the new earth. Whatever the case, we know that there will be no shelter-in-place orders on the new earth, no quarantines, no lockdowns. And this can be an encouragement to all of us who may have been feeling a little bit like the Apostle John lately, not exiled to an island, but exiled to our own houses. When we look at these descriptions of what the next life is going to be like, we begin to understand why the Apostle Paul wrote in Romans 8:18 that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. Now, the Apostle Paul is not trying to minimize the trouble we go through in this life. Many people are going through heart-wrenching, back-breaking, soul-crushing pain within their life. But even those things that aren't small will seem small when compared to the blessings of the next life. We are going through a bizarre and frustrating time right now. We may not know exactly how this strange chapter is going to end, but we do know the end of the story as a whole. And when we are reminded how messed up this world is, it should make us appreciate the perfect world that is coming up next. So please share this video so others can be encouraged as well.